over here.
Yeah.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So first of all, thank you for being here, Congressman. Please
you.
come back. I'm echoing what some other people have said.
Appreciate it.
My name is Jack Gescheidt. I'm an
see you
environmental
again.
activist
Yep.
who was very much involved in the Point Reyes Tule elk issue.
Yep.
And I'm thrilled to see that you shifted on that policy when you listened to the public, including us activists and the media, from freeing the wild elk and removing the private for-profit cattle, which were getting cheap lease deals. That's why they're there, and that's why they want to stay there.
It's a little more complicated than that, but we'll get to
I'm
that.
giving you a brief overview because you've only given me a minute, sir. That's why I'm speaking quickly. If you give me 2 minutes, I'll do more. So more importantly, I just want to say I acknowledge the fact that you were willing to shift to that policy, and not only that, but you brought the Nature Conservancy in to make that deal happen, so thank you for that. And I bring that up to show that you're a decent, well-spoken man who should work in government. I'm glad you're there.
Thank you.
But like other people are saying about lighting your hair on fire daily on the Capitol steps, I think that's what's necessary now. It's different from running the government. It's electing, I think this party, I'll find out from how people respond to my comments here, this party has to move to the left where the people are, because we've seen what the right is going to do. No holds barred.
Yeah.
I'm old enough to have grown up to watch long gas lines and race riots and unjust wars, and I never dreamed I'd see that all again. So my little list of things that I see as like progressive is we have to expand the Supreme Court and talk about doing that so it's normalized. Dissolve the Electoral College, or at least there's another end run around it, which you know more about than I do, so it doesn't have the power where the same number of senators represent, 40 million people in California and 40,000 in South Dakota. That's insane.
Vermont.
5% tax on billionaires, please. Break up corporate monopolies or none of this can happen. And our own, ultimately, the last one, our own, sorry for the strong words, Nuremberg trials after this is over, when we get through.
Yeah.
So hold these people accountable, otherwise they'll do it again. So I want you to feel my fire, and apparently the audience agrees somewhat, because if we don't do these things, this country is going down. I'm terrified and angry and ashamed of all of it.
All right. Thank you, Jack. So, hey, I'm all for accountability. And, you know, look, if Nuremberg was about anything, it was about people who said I was just following orders. That's not good enough. And that's why Mark Kelly was courageous and patriotic to remind our troops that they don't have to follow illegal and unconstitutional orders. But I am all for that level of accountability in the wake of this terrible regression that we're having as a republic. I also appreciate your nice words about elk and Point Reyes. I do want to clarify. I don't feel like I've shifted policy. I've always been proud of the restored elk herds. I think what you've seen is a shift in the reality on the ground in Point Reyes, and I have tried to navigate it as helpfully and thoughtfully as I can. There have been years of really painful and divisive conflict and litigation in Point Reyes over the handful of ranching families that continued to operate in the seashore ranches and a few dairies. And Jack, you and your colleagues have been very passionate about wanting to get all of that agriculture out of the seashore. I did not want to get it all out of the seashore. I was always for holding it to high standards and coexisting with elk herds. But what happened in the course of mediation, as this conflict ground on for years and left everybody in uncertainty to the point where the ranchers couldn't get long-term leases, which means you can't get loans to fix your barn or your house, and you can't really operate, and your life is miserable because of all the conflict, and your kids don't want to take over the business. And through a number of circumstances in the course of mediation, the Nature Conservancy entered the scene, and voluntary buyouts were agreed to by most of the ranching families. I didn't see a settlement of that scope coming. I did support something more narrow. I thought maybe a handful and maybe even all of the dairies and a few others might accept a buyout, and that could be the basis for a compromise with you and your colleagues and others, that we would address what you thought was the worst of the water concerns, open up some range for the elk, take the fence down, and I saw the seeds of a compromise, and then get 20-year leases for the others that would remain. What I didn't anticipate is that all of those families would take the buyout and leave. And that's what's happened. And, you know, there are going to be some people that celebrate that because they wanted all of the ranching out, and there are going to be the others that are very sad about it. If you go out to Point Reyes right now, you see, you know, homes and barns and other things that have just been vacated very abruptly. They're empty. And yeah, I'm answering your question. I'm answering your question. So I just think there's a little bit of complexity to this. And we want to have a local food system. We want to have local agriculture. So what I have been doing, since this was the choice, take these voluntary buyouts and leave, is trying to work with the ranchers who want to stay in the region and find them places elsewhere in the North Bay, especially dairies, because we've had a lot of dairies blinking out, and then work on the farm worker dislocation. Because we need to take care of those folks. They're sort of vulnerable families caught in the middle of all of this. So that has been my focus. The last thing I will say for those concerned about this is we've got to move forward. And there are some folks that want to go back and relitigate all this and keep fighting about it for years to come. I don't. This was the decision that the ranching family made, ranching families, 12 of them. I'm going to honor that, and I want to try to make it work and move forward. We are going to need to continue to have some grazing on that land, though. And so anyone who thinks you won't see cows in the seashore, you're going to see cows in the seashore. But we need to make sure that the Nature Conservancy and the local tribe and others are working together and moving forward, and I'm going to just try to keep the community moving ahead and not going back to years of fighting and conflict. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Rick. I have one comment to make, and that is that most of what we've talked about and you have actually articulated is all moot until we get rid of Citizens United. And until that happens, all the money in the world is going to go in to try to beat us. And all of the high-tech 25-year-old billionaires who have no knowledge of anything that has to do with civics will be out there spending all of the money to beat every bit of what we're trying to make a new republic.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say.
Well, I'm going to agree with you that ending Citizens United and getting all of the dark money and the big money out of politics, putting some sensible guardrails in place is critically important and is a huge part of the problems that we're facing today. I'm going to respectfully disagree on the notion that everything else is moot until we do that, because it's going to take a long time to do that. And we don't have the luxury of not dealing with all of these other things in the meantime. So to me, what it really means is, for now, it's going to be harder to fight all these battles and win all these victories because mountains of dark money are going to be thrown at us. That doesn't mean that a fully engaged public can't still win. We have to find ways to still win until we get to that holy grail of eliminating Citizens United and putting sensible campaign finance reform in place, which I really, really want to do.
Okay, so we're at time. Do you want to take two more questions?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here you go.